Imagine finishing work at 5:30, grabbing a steaming bowl of beef noodles before 6, hopping on the MRT, and less than an hour later standing on a mountain trail with one of Asia's most impressive skylines glowing below you. Then, on the way home, you stop at a night market for a late snack, grab a U-bike for the final stretch, and still make it back early enough to actually relax. That is the kind of day Taipei can make feel surprisingly normal. Asia has no shortage of exciting cities. Tokyo has scale, Seoul has energy, Singapore has efficiency, Bangkok has nightlife, Hong Kong has intensity. But Taipei does something a little different. It gives you much of what people want from city life: convenience, food, culture, nature, transport, healthcare, and nightlife without making every day feel like a race. And that may be Taipei's greatest advantage. It is not necessarily the biggest, richest, or flashiest city in Asia. It may simply be one of the easiest places to build a life that still feels like a life. Taipei is undeniably a major capital. There are office towers, shopping districts, crowded intersections, modern malls, and neighborhoods that remain active well into the night. Walk through Xinyi with Taipei 101 rising above the streets, and there is no doubt that you are in a serious global city. But what makes Taipei interesting is how quickly that atmosphere can change. Travel just a few MRT stops away, and suddenly you are walking through quieter residential streets filled with breakfast shops, little parks, temples hidden between apartment blocks, family-run restaurants, and cafes where people sit for hours. The city rarely feels like one endless business district. That contrast makes everyday life feel more manageable. You can live close enough to the action without necessarily being trapped inside it. You can spend the day in a busy commercial area and return home to a neighborhood that feels almost local and intimate. For remote workers, students, professionals, or anyone simply trying to avoid burnout, that balance matters more than people often realize. Transportation plays a huge role in making Taipei work. A city can have great restaurants, beautiful parks, and exciting neighborhoods. But if reaching them requires sitting in traffic for an hour, people eventually stop going. Taipei avoids much of that problem because its MRT system is fast, clean, reliable, and relatively easy to understand. You can move between major neighborhoods without needing a car, and buses cover many of the areas beyond the metro network. Then there is U-Bike, Taipei's public bicycle system, which makes short-distance travel even easier. You might take the MRT most of the way home, rent a bicycle outside the station, ride for 10 minutes, and return it near your apartment. Or you can cycle along the riverside paths simply because the weather is good and you feel like taking the longer route. When transportation works well, a city starts to feel smaller. Dinner plans do not become complicated. Meeting a friend on the other side of town does not automatically feel like a major commitment. You spend less time thinking about parking, traffic, and expensive taxis. And the real thing Taipei gives you is not just mobility. It gives you time. Then there is nature. And this might be the part of Taipei that surprises first-time visitors the most. For such a developed capital, the mountains feel unusually close. One of the most famous examples is Elephant Mountain, where you can hike up through greenery and look back toward Taipei 101 and the surrounding skyline. In many major cities, getting into nature requires planning an entire weekend. You drive for hours, pack everything in advance, and make a full-day trip out of it. In Taipei, hiking can almost become an after-work activity. You can spend most of the day staring at a computer screen and then be climbing a mountain trail before sunset. You can ride beside a river in the morning, work through the afternoon, and spend the evening surrounded by neon signs and food stalls. That ability to move between completely different environments in the same day is a huge part of why Taipei feels balanced. And then, of course, there is the food. Taipei is famous for eating, but the real advantage is not simply that there are great restaurants. It is that good food is built into normal daily life. Breakfast might be warm soy milk, an egg pancake, or a freshly made sandwich from a tiny neighborhood shop. Lunch could be dumplings, noodles, braised pork rice, or something picked up from a simple local restaurant. Dinner might mean hot pot with friends, followed by bubble tea or dessert later in the evening. And if you suddenly become hungry at 10 or 11 at night, the city is still very much awake. Night markets such as Raohei, Ningxia, and Shilin have become famous internationally, But they are not only tourist attractions, they represent something bigger about Taipei's lifestyle. Food is social, accessible, casual, and available at almost every hour. You can eat alone without feeling awkward. You can have a quick meal in 20 minutes, or spend 2 hours sitting around a table with friends. You can spend very little at a street stall or choose a more polished restaurant when you feel like treating yourself. That flexibility makes everyday life more enjoyable. Taipei also seems to understand something that many big cities forget. Being productive should not mean sacrificing everything else. The city has modern infrastructure, strong internet connectivity, offices, universities, co-working spaces, and plenty of cafes where people work quietly for hours. But when you finish your work, there are endless ways to switch off. You can walk through Dan Forest Park, explore the small streets around Zhongshan, wander through Shimending, visit a bookstore, sit in a cafe, meet friends for dinner, or disappear into a night market. And you do not need to plan something dramatic every evening. Sometimes balance is simply knowing that interesting things are available when you want them, but you are not forced to chase them constantly. Healthcare also becomes an important part of the conversation once you stop thinking like a tourist and start thinking like someone who might actually live somewhere. Taiwan has a well-established national health insurance system, and eligible foreign residents can enter the system under applicable residency requirements. It is not the most glamorous reason to choose a city, but healthcare becomes incredibly important when you are thinking about long-term quality of life. It is easy to be impressed by cheap food and beautiful cafes during a 5-day trip. It is different when you imagine living somewhere for several years. Then Taipei shows another side after sunset. Balanced does not mean boring. Ximending becomes bright, loud, crowded, and full of energy. Xinyi offers modern restaurants, shopping, bars, and nightlife. Smaller cafes and bars appear throughout neighborhoods that feel completely different at night. Morning Taipei smells like coffee, soy milk, and breakfast shops. Afternoon Taipei feels busy and productive. Evening Taipei becomes social. And late-night Taipei often belongs to food stalls, convenience stores, and people squeezing in one final meal before going home. The city seems to have different personalities depending on the hour. Of course, Taipei is not perfect. The summers can be brutally hot and humid. Typhoons are a reality. Some apartments are older or smaller than newcomers expect. Speaking Mandarin can make everyday life much easier, particularly once you move beyond the most international parts of the city. Housing in central or especially desirable neighborhoods can also be more expensive than people expect when they hear that Taipei is cheaper than Tokyo, Hong Kong, or Singapore. And there is also the broader geopolitical uncertainty surrounding Taiwan. Something long-term residents cannot simply pretend does not exist. Taipei is not perfect, but balance was never about perfection. It is about whether the trade-offs feel worth it. Here, you get the energy of a major Asian capital, reliable public transport, incredible food, lively neighborhoods, and mountains close enough for an after-work escape, all without making everyday life feel like a constant race. You can be productive in the morning, adventurous at sunset, and relaxed at night without traveling far. Maybe that is Taipei's real advantage. It gives you enough convenience to make life easier, enough excitement to keep things interesting, and enough breathing room to actually enjoy it. And that is why Taipei might be one of Asia's best cities to live in, not just visit. Could Taipei be Asia's best city for a balanced life? You decide. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.